Scott just made the point.
Jeff Jefferson
used to be a lot more secure, not just.
2 years ago, on September 11, 2012, the American consulate in Benghazi was attacked, leaving 4 Americans dead, including our ambassador, Chris Stevens. 5 days later, on September 16, UN Ambassador Susan Rice went on all 5 of the big Sunday morning news programs to lie to the American people and to the world that the attacks were a spontaneous reaction to a little-seen YouTube video, the creator of which was sentenced to a year in jail and only released in September of last year. On Monday, September 15, 2014, we learned that the cover-up may still be going on and under the watchful eye of she who would be the first woman president of the United States of America. I'm Steve Green. This is Trifecta. Let's bring on Bill Whittle and Scott Ott to bring you the latest bombshell report from investigative journalist Sharyl Attkisson. Gents, Attkisson reported in the Daily Signal, this is a quote, Hillary Clinton confidants were part of an operation to separate damaging documents before they were turned over to the Accountability Review Board investigating security lapses surrounding the September 11, 2012 terrorist attacks on the U.S. mission in Benghazi, Libya. Bill, they say it's the cover-up, not the crime that gets you, but I can't help think of Candy Crowley at the foreign policy debate between President Obama and Mitt Romney when she broke the rules by openly siding with Obama's claim that it wasn't a terrorist attack in Benghazi. Will we get the whole story of Clinton's involvement, or is Attkisson going to remain just this lonely voice on this story, just like she was with Fast and Furious?
What difference does it make?
At this point, yeah.
First of all, here's what's so, of all the stuff in this story, I think the thing that's probably the most salient, the most depressing is Sharyl Attkisson used to be a reporter for CBS, right? CBS television news. She was seen by millions of people. And then she started doing some journalism, and that was the end of her being seen by millions of people. Now she has to go do her journalism at some out-of-the-way outpost, because if this kind of journalism had been done by Sharyl Attkisson alone, just her, over the last 5 years, none of these people would be in power anymore. If she had been doing what she's doing for CBS TV, they wouldn't be here. One journalist alone, that's all it would have taken. We don't even have one journalist alone in all of these major news organs. So with that said, of course it matters, and of course they covered it up, and of course this whole thing is a giant, just a giant cesspool of lies, Steve. And this is why we need the freedom of the press. You know, the freedom of the press is often just referred to as the watchdog that uncovers corruption. But what we've seen in the last 5 years is that it is also serves a deterrent effect. If you know the press is out there, you will not be so tempted to lie, and certainly the corollary is true. If you know that the press will not only not report the news, but will in fact suppress the news for you, then all kinds of criminal activities become profitable for our insect overlords.
Criminal activities, I'm going to remember that phrase, right up until January 20, 2017. All right, Scott, I'm going to give you a chance to play devil's advocate here. Attkisson's report hinges on statements by former Deputy Assistant Secretary Raymond Maxwell. Let's take a quick look at that and at him. He said in the story, I was not invited to that after-hours endeavor, but I heard about it and decided to check it out on a Sunday afternoon, Maxwell says. He didn't know it then, but Maxwell would ultimately become one of 4 State Department officials singled out for discipline. He says scapegoated, then later cleared for devastating security lapses leading up to the attacks. 4 Americans, including U.S. Ambassador Christopher Stevens, were murdered during those attacks. Scott, does Maxwell have an axe to grind against Hillary Clinton, or can we take him at his word, or maybe some combination of the two?
Well, as someone who's actually trained in journalism at a somewhat reputable university, one of the things that makes you a little skittish is when you have a story that has only one source that can confirm the details of something. Yep. You know, nobody else wants to talk about these allegations. And so you have to weigh that, and you have to say, okay, there's only one guy who's saying this. You also have to realize that there's good motive for nobody else to say anything, so you've got to weigh that as well. But what's unusual about this story, in addition to Sharyl Attkisson's credibility, is the fact that the guy is saying this openly. She didn't get a leak. She didn't get a deep throat voice in a parking garage somewhere. She got someone who was willing to put his face on camera, to put his words in quotation marks, and to be known for having called this what he thought it was. So you have to weigh that too. Now, I don't know the guy. The guy could be a slime ball. He could be promoting his movie or book or whatever. So I think we need to wait as additional details come in and find out if there are ways that we can corroborate this story. That's the key. Real journalism involves corroboration of stories. I think Sharyl Attkisson was right to come out with this story, and I think she'll be even better when she continues to stack up the facts and corroborate what this witness has testified to.
Thank you for that answer, Scott. That's what I was hoping for, a little sanity here. Folks, if Maxwell is right, then the government's Accountability Review Board was given scrub documents vetted by Hillary Clinton's own chief of staff, among others. But I want to stress that we don't know all of the facts yet. There are, however, a few things we do know for certain. We know that Clinton has used government offices as her own private fiefdom, such as during the Travelgate scandal of 1993. We know former Clinton hand Sandy Berger once walked out of the National Archives in 2004 with his suit jacket and his pants stuffed with top-secret classified documents. We know for a fact 4 Americans were murdered in Benghazi. What we don't know is who gave the stand-down order that night. What we don't know is how far up the chain of command the scandal goes. Now, I don't know about you, but I certainly think the American people deserve that the woman who just might be our next president gets at least as much of a vetting as her deputy assistant secretary is about to get from the mainstream media. Don't you? For Scott Ott and Bill Whittle, I'm Steve Green.